Okay, good evening, everybody. This is the Public Works Committee meeting for Tuesday, August 6th, 2024. It's 7:02. Take a quick roll call, and it looks like we have Ms. Dunn, Ms. Smith, Ms. Nijelski-Eitner, Ms. Young, and Mr. Lopez. So we do, who is not on the committee, but we do have a quorum. Okay, I don't think I missed anybody there. Okay. First order is the uh, minutes that were a part of the package that was distributed. Does anyone have any questions on or corrections on the minutes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Ms. Smith, thank you. All those in favor? One, two, three, four. So it's unanimous. Thank you. Now I'd like to open it up for public input. Monique, do we have anybody that's on the yes, I do see one person.
Ms. Larchello, you're unmuted.
Yeah, let me just say that anybody that has something to say must we're going to limit it to 3 minutes, and it must be on the subject matter of the agenda on the call of the meeting. Go ahead, Ms. Loricella. Diane, yeah, I think you're on mute. Diane, can you hear me? Monique, has she been transferred over or?
I'm not transferring her over. It's Delene. I didn't transfer her over, but I've given her, I think she's having some trouble with her. Oh, she's coming in again.
On mute.
Okay.
It looks like she's on mute still, though. Can you
Yeah.
unmute?
She is
She's
unmuted.
coming in
She's got
again.
herself muted though.
Um,
Here we go.
Diane, okay, there you go. All right.
I'm sorry.
You're okay now. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm having trouble with my cell phone, so I switched quickly to laptop. Can you hear me now?
Good. Yes.
Okay, very sorry for that.
We won't start the clock until you start talking.
I guess they say, as in Congress, can I get my time back or whatever? Anyway, good evening, Diane Loricella, Little Fox Lane in Norwalk. I was very interested in listening to a discussion at some point today, tonight or afterwards in the recording, in the discussion items. Specifically, 1A related to the Stormwater Management Plan, the MS4 draft. I wanted to say that I have been following and actually reading previous MS4 reports, and while all of them have the requisite language in them, one part of it that I hope that each of the council members take a look at and reads about is the need for public participation. Now, the Stormwater Management Plan portion of this is also something where the public needs to understand, and that includes anyone in the public that owns property, because as we all know, it has to drain somewhere and has to be controlled in various ways. So I know that there's mention of a stormwater authority. There's been a lot of talk about it. And there needs to be, in my opinion, professionally speaking, as a waste management professional and a water quality advocate and professional over time, and that is the need for education to help people understand who would be subject to stormwater authority, that it would not be everyone. Because the survey that was done, and I want to bring your attention, I'm writing up something separately, was very poorly rendered. The survey was very presumptuous and alarming to taxpayers. And I don't think it was meant to be, but it was not well worded. Number two, that's item A. Item C, in the rest of my time, the monthly solid waste report. Last month, and in the minutes, Mr. Tom Zabo mentioned that they had begun tagging through Wind Waste. There had been a tagging that had been done. He portrayed or painted a very uplifting portrait. So I think it's a tad bit overly enthusiastic. I'm glad the tagging program is underway again, but I'd like to know, is there a record of the addresses that where there is tagging? Because how can one know which streets or which people at which addresses, especially if they keep getting tagged? There's a need for education and coaching. So I wanted to know what the process is once the tag is set up, and how often is tagging set up? Because as we know, the automatic arms reach out, and it's very hard to tell what's underneath all the stuff, right? So you could always tell later on when it's dumped on the ground in Stamford or in the transfer station. And lastly, under food scrap drop-off, I very much feel that this program needs to go out to bid so that we can optimize it and include more education. Currently, the pilot program has gone on long enough, and we are not optimizing food scrap removal, which would save a lot of money in our annual cost because it's heavy and it's wet. So with that, I look forward to listening to the rest of this. And I very much lastly wanted to say in number 3 on design discussion, RD 2023-2, the undergrounding of the Elizabeth Street overhead utility. I am very disappointed.
Ms. Laricello, that's not on our agenda tonight.
Oh, it's under discussion. Under the list, it is under the list of projects that usually the director or Mr. Torrey talks about. It's under number 3 in design. So may I just? It's
okay.
listed.
Go ahead.
Yep. Okay. I'll just end with this. Is that I'm still quite disappointed that there wasn't a better routing of the of the EverSource lines underneath the river, and that this Elizabeth Street undergrounding could have been moved further north or further south, but especially further north, closer to the railroad, so that we would not put our boaters in jeopardy, which could happen with the current process that was just signed off by the council. Thank you very much. I look forward to listening.
Thank you, Ms. Loricello. Is there anybody else for public comment?
There is not.
Okay, thank you. So we'll close that at 7:09. Thank you.
Chairman Freer?
Yes.
We received an email from...
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yes, we received an email from Linnell Jones dated today regarding the stormwater management report, and we're having it noted for the record. It's going to be attached to the minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for reminding me of that. Under new business, we've approved the minutes. Number 1 is, I will read the first item on new business. Authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an amendment to the December 12th, 2023 agreement between the City of Norwalk and Amredondo, Inc. for purchasing project 4322 DRG 2023-3 on-call drainage at various locations for sum not to exceed $750,000. Accounts so noted. Do I have a motion to? Is there Ms. Najelski? Thank you. Mr. Meehan, do you want to comment on this? I know that Ms.
Yes.
is a little under the weather, so.
Yes, thank you. So, Mr. Ferrer, yes. So basically, as you stated, this is an existing contract. We are looking to increase the funding. We had there are funds that are available, and there's certainly we're not lacking in work in this area. So they've been doing a good job. They've been proceeding a lot of our paving, which needs to be done in order to continue with our current paving management program, as well as address any small drainage issues that are happening spontaneously throughout the city. So this is funded, and we just like to allocate the funds for this.
Are there any questions for Mr. Meehan or any comments? Okay, we'll move the question. All those in favor? Okay, it looks like it's unanimous. Ms. Nadjelski-Edner, did you vote in favor of that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry
Yes,
for
I
the
see
delay.
it now. I see it now. Okay, good. Thank you. Number 3, this is a technical correction of the Common Council action of June 11th, which was item 7B-8A to add accounts, to add an account for a purchasing project 4366 BLDG 2024-1, paving of Ben Franklin Kendall Elementary School and Rowayton Elementary School facility parking lot, account so noted. This is just to add another account, an additional account that will assist in funding the project that was approved on June 11th. Do I have a motion to approve it? So moved, Ms. Smith. All those in favor? Or any comments, any questions? Okay, everybody in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's unanimous as well. Thank you. Number 4, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Reeling, to execute an amendment to the July 20th, 2023 agreement between the City of Norwalk and CDM Smith, Inc. for professional engineering services for Project DRG 2023-2 engineering services, municipal separate storm sewer system, MS4, for a sum not to exceed $250,000, accounts noted. This is an extension of the CDM consulting agreement. Do I have a motion? Ms. Dunn, thank you. Does anybody have any comments or questions on this?
Mr. Fair can also give a little bit of an explanation more directly about what that money will be used for as part of this task order. So this way I want to make it transparent. What is the process? So last year we engaged CDM Smith to help us to be in compliance with the MS4 that, as most of you know, we have never submitted a storm plan, a stormwater plan. That is the one that is the draft that I'll address later during the discussion items. So they have 2 tasks under their original contract. One was to help us with the MS4 stormwater plan, help us with our annual permit, and also do a draft about the stormwater utility. That task order is about to be completed, and we are planning to have a presentation to council members either on late September or first week of October. We're targeting late September, that we believe is when most of the people will be back from vacation on that. But what we are adding to this original contract is, as part of this MS4 plan, the city have the obligation to investigate all the outfalls to see if there is any combined sewer that is being discharged illegally. And then our job is to go back and trace back and try and disconnect. Sometimes some of them can be from private properties that we are not even aware. We have over 1,000 outfalls in the city. In our regional task order, we already start this work. So they are already working throughout the summer on inspecting some of these outfalls. But this will be probably one of the costs that will be annually associated, should be to keep us in track with our permit. So for now, we are locating, at least in the beginning, right? Because we still need to do a lot of investigation. So this $250,000 will be allocated to continue the inspection of all these outfalls. There is, I believe that I will attach the proposal in the back for you.
Ms. Young, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Hi, Vanessa. So
it sounded to me, will there be any cost to any homeowners? I mean, you were not looking to do that, but this sounds like this is a lot of work. And all of this, I mean, is there any foresight to that being a possibility? Not
Well-
that I think that it should happen, but it just sounds like, will the onus be on some land owner given whatever area of the city they're in, or what this would look like?
So, Ms. Young, I'm not sure if I understand the question, but I think that there is a little bit of, let me explain that there are two different things here that a lot of people get confused. So if you don't mind, I'm going to explain two things.
No, please do.
One thing is related to what people are talking about, the stormwater utility. That
Mhm.
one has nothing to do with this plan. This plan is an obligation that we as a municipality, we have with Connecticut DEEP that we need to fulfill. We haven't been submitted a plan for years. We have been asked for capital money to be able to do the plan, and was one of those items that always got pushed to the back burner. Through ARPA funds, we were able to hire originally CGM Smith, and then they were able to put this stormwater management plan in place for us. You guys had the chance to look at the draft because you guys authorized the mayor to sign. And remember that we tabled that a couple of months ago, and then we waited until the draft was completed. We added, was about 90 pages, was I believe either on the last meeting or on the meeting before. And that now is the one that is available for comments on the website. After all that is wrapped up and the comments are looked by the consultant, the mayor will sign and will submit to DEEP. What that all put us in a situation that we have the obligation to fulfill everything that we're presenting and may be approved by DEEP. We're just submitting a plan. We're still gonna need their blessings. And there is a lot of areas that we need to address. As Ms. Lauricella brought in the beginning, there is a whole part about public outreach that needs to be addressed. There is swiping the roads, but that is one of the things that we already do. But we're putting
So I get that. I think I was just really trying to say, given that we have not done this type of work before, for whatever reason, right? I think that's what I heard you say. This has not been done before. So what is the possibility or likelihood that some cost might be a burden, or something that could be, we don't know.
So based on the plan
local,
itself.
So that might be something that comes up in this study. It may or may not. I don't know.
Only related to the study, if we find any property that is illegally discharging to a water system, yes, the property owner will have the obligation to disconnect.
Okay.
So that will be on them because it will be a legal charge. As of now,
that's what I was asking.
Do not allow
yes.
that. Yes.
But I think pardon me, just for adding in, I think where you were going for this, Ms. Young, is there going to be, resulting from this study that's ongoing right now, is there going to be any cost to citizens of the city other than those that might be in violation?
Right. I mean, that too, right.
And we don't know what we don't know. But
we don't know.
Right
but
now,
this study might help. Right.
Yeah, but right now, what I think we're saying is that if there is something that does come up, it's going to be on the responsibility of the owner of that property to take care of it.
Should they legal discharge, Ms. Young? But also, I want to clarify that as the city, we have a lot of obligations related to the stormwater system now, and the majority of that we are already doing. So we clean the catch basins. We put the sweepers on the roads. What will come out of this plan, what we're proposing now, is that we need to increase the rotation of that cleaning. Because because although we do a good job, we are proposing to do even a better one. So yes, there will be a cost associated for the city to be able to do the job. How we're gonna fund that is what triggers a second part of our whole conversation that will be the stormwater utility. That will be back to you guys, and it's part of this presentation, that it's how the administration and the residents and the council would like to consider what will be the options on how we should be funding everything related to the MS4. Because one option that nowadays exists, and Midwest and Florida, for instance, does a lot, is create a stormwater utility. So that is the part of the other presentation that will come as maybe a way of funding that instead of being just with property tax.
Are there any other questions, comments? Not seeing any. I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's unanimous. Thank you.
Hey, Jim, I just wanted to mention that I'll join the call.
I see that. Thank you, Mr. Wiggins. Please note that he joined the call at about 7:15, I think.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so number 5. I believe it's number 5. Authorize the purchasing agent to authorize a sole source purchase order to Freightliner of Hartford for the purchase of one M2 chip body truck in the amount not to exceed $167,230.30. Account so noted. Do I have a motion for this item? Ms. Dunn, thank you.
I'll have to, no, Mr. Torrey is on vacation this week.
Okay.
And so this is just one of the trucks that we have in our fleet management plan to be purchased this year. So as soon as we get the fund, we move ahead with the purchases. As you are aware, usually it's taking still 10 to 12 months to get the truck. So as soon as we can get the quote, we place the order, and then we keep our finger crossed that will come within a year. So this is one of the trucks that, again, it's a smaller chip truck that will just help with our daily work at operations.
Any comments, questions on that? Okay, those in favor? 1, 2, 3. Ms. Joseph, okay, thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, number 6. Authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute an amendment to the October 13th, 2021 agreement between the City of Norwalk and the Olmsted Tree and Shrub Care Company, LLC, for the supply and planting of trees and shrubs. Project number 4130 for an amount not to exceed $150,000. Account so noted. This is a contract, or do I have a motion for this? Ms. Smith, thank you. This is an extension of an existing contract. I think it's the first extension that we have on a 3-year contract that started in 2021 for planting of trees. They've done a pretty good job for us. I don't see Ms. Cruz on.
Yeah, I can also take that one.
Yeah, for somebody who's not feeling too well, you're doing very well.
I know. And I said that I wasn't going to say much, but anyhow, it's just that it were the 3 items that it's not up to the engineering, is under the other divisions. I'm sorry. Yeah. So yes, you already covered everything. So Olmsted, have already won a contract in place. And part of the contract, when we bid it, we have a 1-year extension with them. The original year was $130,000 for the extension. We are asking for $150,000. It is what is the money that we have already allocated for the next year's planting. I also want to just mention that besides the accounts, the regular capital accounts for tree planting, we are also listing the account for that we receive grants or donations for the city. And also, as you know, with the new ordinance that if we cut a tree, some people have either to plant a tree or pay the amount related to buy those trees. And that money goes to a certain account, and that is also that account. So that's why the XXX at the end, because depending on the grant or which project ended up contributing to that account, there will be sub-accounts of that major account. So that's how we're planning to use the money. And that's why we added another $20,000 than the regular $130,000, because we know that there is some grants that may be coming up this year.
All right. Any other comments? Any questions on that? All right. All those in favor? 3, 4, 5. Mr. Wiggins, you in favor of that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's approved. Now we'll move on to the information and discussion group. We've already spoken quite a bit about the stormwater management plan, but let me ask the question or let me open it up to questions from the floor on the wastewater management plan, the MS4 draft, which is now available for public discussion or public comment, I should say. So do we have anybody else that would like to talk about this? Okay. Is no further comments on this? No other questions on this? Ms. Smith?
Yeah, I actually have a question. I know that we're doing a lot already, cleaning the catch basins and, staying on top of things. But as I look through the plan, it does seem like there is a lot of work that needs to be done by the Public Works Department, particularly. Do we have the staff to manage all of the recommendations?
We do not have just dedicated staff to do it yet. We do have, as of today, we have 67 people that works under operations. I think that about 10, 15 years ago, I heard that the number was double of it.
Yeah, I understand that.
And to be honest, on the 67 people, probably we get a good every week about 10 that is out either on vacation, sick, or workers' comp and all that. So definitely it will be a challenge, but it's something that is not an option. It's something that that's why we're submitting a plan. We are hoping that they accept the plan. The plan is, again, we are proposing to do more than what we do now. There's a chance that Connecticut may come back and ask for even more. We do not know when we're going to have a final answer on it. We are planning to submit, I think that we close on October 21st. Depending on the comments, we're planning to probably submit, I would say, mid-November. And then hopefully early next year, we should be hearing back. And then there is a whole of implementation time. So when we did this plan, there was it's not just the contractor, the consultant that write the plan. They have to understand what we are able to do, also what the other departments can help us with. And that's why if you read the plan, you're going to see that there are things that are ongoing. There are things that we are proposing dates when we can achieve that. So we have some short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals for that. And that will be definitely, there will be some cost to the city in order to be able to be aligned with the plan that we'll be submitting for sure.
Yeah.
Not only
I
on
had a feeling.
personnel, also equipment.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility, can we get contractors in on a contractual contracts on a contractual basis, workers on a contractual basis to take up where we may have a shortfall with permanent staff?
Unfortunately not, because of the union. We are not allowed to give work to a third party to our 2405 contract, Mr. Freya. This happens on with operations and also with Recs and Parks.
Can we have, does the union offer any apprenticeships or work development programs or anything like that where we could start to bring people in at a lower rate?
It's something that probably we can try. I think that again, as soon as we start like submitting the plan, we're gonna have to start working on how we're gonna be able to manage. But I'm not afraid of that cannot be done. I think that we just need to make few changes, and we're gonna be able to accomplish. But there will be definitely increase on the operations cost of the structure of the operations for sure.
So you're saying
at least
that
initially. After that, I think that, it is one of those costs that we see at the beginning, and then it will kind of hit and maybe decreasing after a few years.
so the cost that you're anticipating would probably be in the neighborhood of overtime expense
And equipment.
And equipment. So all overtime expense and equipment would be in addition.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, it does sort of speak to, this possibility of a stormwater utility. I mean, these storms that we're getting with climate change, it's really put a burden on cities and towns throughout the country. So, I mean, I think that, it's something we need to be open-minded to in a way that is going to be fair and reasonable for, for citizens, because we don't want to burden people, right? But like you said, Vanessa, stormwater utilities are common throughout many parts of the country. So we just haven't caught on here yet.
Yeah, well, I think that when we were doing the final touches to the presentation about what is a stormwater utility, I think that you guys will have opportunity to understand better if it is an option for the city, and if we should continue to explore that. Again, I'm hoping to bring this in front of everyone by later September, or first week of October, no later than that for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Nora, you have something?
I do, and I hope you'll be able to hear me. If not, I will have to send them by writing. But my first question is really around planning and zoning and the intersection of planning and zoning and this plan. I'll flag for you one tiny nit, which is that 4.1G refers to our planning and zoning guide still being under rewrite.
Excuse me, Nora, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm having a real difficulty trying to understand you. Are you just on is it just a bad connection, or are you on a cell phone?
I'm genuinely, yeah, I apologize.
Oh, that's better. Much better. Thank you.
Okay, I will.
Well, it was better for a second.
I apologize for my vocal inadequacies. So the question was just, planning and zoning. Could you speak a little bit about how you have been working with them to sort of intersect this planning with kind of the regulation changes that were already done, and sort of, I think there's a lot of work now to kind of tweak them and think about how we can now that we've done the big rewrite, smooth them even further. So are there opportunities here that align with the plan?
I'm sorry, Nora, I'll repeat your question. I believe that what you're asking me was that with all the changes that was done through the planning and zoning, if that will be, if it is affected on the stormwater plan. Is that correct?
Yes, I'll send follow-up questions, Vanessa. I really apologize. I just don't think my sound is good enough for you to hear me.
But was that the question? Was that the first one? Well, so let me answer that one. So again, as I mentioned, throughout the plan, we submit the stormwater plan for a lot of departments to review, because a lot of for the stormwater plan should be able to succeed other departments beyond operations and beyond engineering or the BPCA have to be part of it. So planning and zoning has also things that they need to do related to it. Health department have things that is also related to that. And that's why as part of it, you're gonna see that there will be also a committee that will be made in way to kind of meet internally so we can discuss and make sure that the plan is being followed. That's an internal thing that needs to be arranged. So there are a lot of things that needs to be put in place to be able to cross-check and make sure that one department is doing things that also not going to affect the MS4 plan.
Nora, do you have anything else, or did you say you're going to just submit something in writing?
I do, but I'll follow up with Vanessa because unfortunately I just don't have enough sound quality. I really apologize.
Okay, maybe if you'd like, we could reconvene the meeting that we were talking about having at one time. All right, I'll take it offline. Take it offline. I'll talk to you. Okay. Nick, is there any other questions on stormwater management plan? Okay.
So, Mr. Freire, I just want to also let everybody know that we did everything that was required to publish the stormwater, the draft. There is also, we advertise in the newspaper as required. It will be on the website for 90 days. Any comments should go in writing to Nelly about, we put her, wow.
Okay, I think it
on item 2, because Chris is not here, we already put it the tree programming numbers in the backup. Yeah. If you guys have any questions, we haven't planted trees now. During the summer, we don't plant, but we're gonna start again in the fall. We already have a lot of locations planned.
Okay.
And with that, I'm gonna be quiet now.
We'll see about that. Okay, next on the list is, I think we talk about...
Is Nicole in this committee? Because she's in the waiting room. Promoted to a panelist or not?
Yes.
I tried to promote her to a panelist and she denied, so I think she just wants to be in the waiting room.
Okay, she's not on
the... No, Melissa Murray was at one time.
Okay.
But I think Nicole is taking over. Nicole, are you talking about Nicole Eddy or Nicole? All right. Okay, there it is, Nicole Eddy. Okay. Okay. Next on the list is the Tom Szabo. And I just wanted to, he's given us a pretty thorough analysis. There's 2 questions. Is Tom, I think, is on. I thought I saw him on there.
Good evening.
That's right. You're right in front of me. Tom, there was a couple of quick questions I had on on the solid waste, it looked like in the numbers that we're looking at in the MSW collection disposal, they're very minor. It looks like it's down 9% in June 24 over June 20 last year. And also on the recycling collection, it's also down. Is there any reason? I mean, I can't imagine seasonality has anything to do with it.
I think it could be a slight factor. I'm sure there's maybe some people going on vacation, things like that. But for the most part, one thing that stood out to me was the drop in recycling, but then I did see also the drop in solid waste collection. So I wasn't too alarmed since they're both kind of in the same ballpark. But for the most part, we haven't really changed any operations or anything like that to kind of provoke this decrease.
Okay. The other thing that I just wanted to point out, unless somebody else has anything to say about that, I just wanted to make a comment about the composting. But does anybody have any comments on the mainstream waste and the recycling collections? Okay. The other point I wanted to make was that on the composting, food scrap drop-off program, I think we're on the verge of a milestone here, if I'm reading these numbers correctly. That if I look on the last page of the pilot food scrap drop-off program, the total monthly weight in tons is almost 100 tons. That's just an incredible amount of composting, considering that how long we've been doing this for about 2 years, that we're up to, not even 2 years, but we're up to almost 100 tons of this. This is incredible.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a great achievement, I think, come next month when we do officially pass 100 tons. And I think one thing I've added to the education table I have is kind of some information on why composting is important, to kind of continually encourage people to kind of think about the benefits and some of the future offsets that we might be able to create as we continue to expand.
It's just phenomenal. I think I hope that we can get a public some kind of we ought to have some kind of ceremony or something like that when we finally hit the 100 ton number. Ms. Smith?
Yeah, Tom, I have a question for you. Because I dropped my compost at Cranberry Park last week, and I haven't done it myself. I've been making my kid do it. But I noticed, my first question is, how often is it picked up from the Cranberry site? So that's my question, but an observation is that I noticed, and this is not something I had seen before, is, it was pretty gross. People were like, someone had dumped their compost on the top of one of the bins, and it was just rotting there, as opposed to putting it in the bin. I saw, a couple, like soda bottles, plastic soda bottles just kind of laying around. So, I just like, are you noticing some people are just misusing it, or what's going on?
So I did make it out to all of the drop-off sites last week. I tried to take some pictures for a social media post to kind of report to residents on our progress we're making. I did notice some of the bins need to get rinsed out, and I was trying to come up with a way to make sure, if there's a perfectly clean empty bin all the way down at the end, that's not one that only gets one bag in it and then doesn't get collected for a week or two. So I'm going to reach out to them this week and make sure they kind of rinse all the bins out again, and I'll definitely touch base and make sure that we're having someone check up on the locations frequently and make sure that they're clean and presentable.
Yeah, and another thing I did notice at that site, there was a sign, you know, I had asked Chris about this like a year ago, to, you know, put a sign up that, you know, so that people, one, knew it was there, and two, weren't just, you know, dropping their recycling. So the sign's there, and it's in like, you know, that big giant planter, but it's all overgrown now, so you can't read the sign.
Yep. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we'll definitely either weed out the planter, or maybe we'll get a bigger signpost for that. And I was thinking maybe also adding a recycling or a trash can next to the compost. I know that's a huge thing. If someone wants to throw something out and they don't want to put it on the ground, it might end up in a compost bin if that's the only bin around.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's probably what people were doing. Yeah, and I just think some really like guidelines could be posted, you know, as opposed to just, you know, compost only, not recycling. Just some really specific instructions for people.
Tom, do you want to tell them about that we're planning to change all the displays there that we were talking about it?
Yeah, that's also one of the reasons I went around to all the sites, was to kind of see what we have for signage, how we could improve it, and make sure we kind of get something that sort of fits with the park there at Cranberry. I know it's more like a nature setting, so I didn't want to kind of put that same giant sign we have at the transfer station there.
Right.
And maybe we'll kind of get either like a QR code or kind of like a kind of small informational things that we can kind of direct residents to on the city webpage, and then make sure that we're kind of outreaching to residents every chance we get with the drop-off sites.
Great idea.
Great job, Tom. It's phenomenal. Any other questions for Tom? Okay. How about Mr. Meehan? You want to bring us up to date on some of the upcoming or the current non-upcoming projects? I think let's, you know, in light of the number of items we got on there, maybe just hit the highlights, unless somebody's got some specific questions on a favorite project that they have in mind.
Yes, well, as you can see, a lot of them, the construction projects are pretty active right now. Perhaps one of the most significant ones might be the Heather Lane, Lockwood Lane drainage project, which has been authorized. The contractors received a notice to proceed. We're just waiting on certain drainage structures that need to be delivered. So other than that, a lot of work's happening. A lot of work on Berkeley Street and several others. So if anybody has particulars that they want to ask about in detail, by all means, let me know.
Anything for anybody? Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. Anybody else have anything else? Any other subjects you want to bring up? Any other questions for anybody? Should we just put Vanessa to the test a little bit longer? Anybody have one more question to make her feel terrible? Okay. Are there any other motions? Ms. Dunn?
Adjourn.
Second. All those in favor? Okay, thanks everybody.
Have a good night.
Good night. Feel better, Vanessa.
Feel better, Vanessa. Sorry I made you talk so much. I didn't realize. I felt bad.
Don't feel bad.
You go and rest. Please.